Urgent Dallas Cowboys FANS. Do not miss this. What just happened? You won't believe this one. But before we reveal the big news, make sure to subscribe to the channel because here we bring you daily videos with the latest Dallas Cowboys updates. And to not miss anything, activate the notifications. All right, Cowboys Nation, today we're diving into some pretty intriguing updates that have everybody talking. You know how it is, the NFL season is always full of surprises, twists, and turns, and this week is no different. It's been a roller coaster ride for the Dallas Cowboys, especially when it comes to their wide receiver core and the latest injury concerns. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's set the scene for what's been happening in the world of America's team. So it all started last Sunday during practice. Fans and insiders alike noticed that Marquez Valdes-Scantling, the veteran wideout brought in to add some serious vertical threat to the Cowboys' offense, was absent from practice sessions. At first, the story seemed pretty straightforward. Reports indicated that MVS was sidelined due to shoulder soreness, which apparently was a result of a fall during a practice session the day before, on Saturday. It's not uncommon for players to get banged up in practice, especially when they're pushing hard for that chemistry with Dak Prescott and the rest of the offense. But as we all know in the NFL, sometimes what seems simple at first can turn out to be more complex. Fast forward to Thursday, and things started to get a little more serious. Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy addressed the media, and he dropped a bit of a bombshell. He announced that Marquez Valdes-Scantling would be undergoing an MRI on his right knee. Now, this is where things get interesting. Knee injuries in football are always a bit of a red flag. They can range from minor sprains to severe ligament tears, and the difference can be the difference between missing just a week or being sidelined for the season. The fact that Valdes-Scantling was kept out of practice initially for shoulder soreness might have seemed routine, but the need for an MRI on the knee suggests there might be more to the story. Patrick Walker from the Dallas Cowboys' official site broke the news that MVS was scheduled for this MRI to evaluate his knee injury further. And let me tell you, the NFL world is always on edge with these updates. Knee MRIs are almost always a cause for concern, especially when it involves a player who has been brought in for his deep threat capabilities. The Cowboys, as we know, have been building a high-powered offense, and losing a player like Valdes-Scantling, even if only temporarily, could impact their game plan significantly. Now, it's important to mention that at this point, the full extent of the injury isn't known. The initial reports from the coaches and insiders suggest that it might not be as severe as a torn ligament, which is a small silver lining. As anyone who follows NFL injuries will tell you, an MRI often reveals issues that aren't immediately apparent. Sometimes, even if it's not a full tear, there could be bruising, swelling, or other soft tissue damage that might keep a player out for a little while or affect their performance. In the aftermath of the announcement, ESPN's Todd Archer provided some more context, and that's where things get a little more optimistic. Archer pointed out that the injury isn't believed to be serious at this stage. That's a bit of good news for Cowboys fans who are worried about their depth at wide receiver. Still, the uncertainty remains, and every Cowboys fan knows how crucial every game is in this stretch of the season. The team is fighting for playoff positioning, and every player's availability could be the difference between a win and a loss. While we're on the topic of injuries, let's not forget that this isn't an isolated case. The Cowboys have a few other players dealing with health concerns. Devin Moore, who's been battling a groin injury, is expected to start working back into practice soon. That's a positive sign because the more time he spends rehabbing and building strength, the better his chances of returning to the field in the coming weeks. Similarly, Jayshon Barham, also dealing with a groin problem, is showing some signs of improvement but isn't quite ready for a full return yet. Zion Childress, the young wide receiver with a hamstring issue, and Jonathan Bullard, battling a groin injury as well, are both on the mend but still not at full capacity. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Dallas Cowboys news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. Now the big question that everyone's asking, especially given the timing of this injury concern, is what does this mean for the Cowboys' offensive setup moving forward? Well, it's no secret that Valdes-Scantling has been making strides this season. Coming from Kansas City, where he was part of a Super Bowl-winning team, MVS was brought in to be a deep threat, a guy who can stretch defenses and open up the field for the likes of CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. He's a tall, physical receiver, standing at 6'4", and weighing about 206 pounds, making him a real matchup nightmare for defensive backs. His role in the team was expected to be more than just a deep threat. He was also supposed to be a reliable third option in the passing game, especially on those explosive plays. Throughout his career, Valdes-Scantling has shown flashes of that big play ability. During his time with Green Bay, he was seen as a reliable target down the field, and in Kansas City, he continued to develop as a vertical threat. His time with the Saints last season, after signing mid-season, was also promising. He managed nearly 400 receiving yards in just half a season, showing that when healthy, he can be a productive piece in any offense. But this season with the Cowboys, his role was expected to expand. The team's offense has been solid, with Dak Prescott throwing for over 500 yards so far, and C.D. Lamb emerging as one of the league's top receivers. Yet every team relies heavily on their depth, especially at wideout. Losing a player like Valdes-Scantling, even temporarily, can create a ripple effect. The Cowboys' coaching staff has options, of course, and their younger receivers are eager to step up. Ryan Flournoy, a third-year wideout, has been quietly impressing, establishing himself as the third option behind Lamb and George Pickens. Flournoy has shown good route running and hands, and he's definitely someone to keep an eye on as a potential breakout. Then there's KaVontae Turpin, the dynamic return specialist who's been making a splash not only on special teams, but also occasionally stepping in on offense. Turpin, 30 years old, has accumulated over 800 receiving yards in the last 2 seasons, along with 4 touchdowns. His primary role is returning punts and kicks, but he's also shown he can be a gadget player, capable of making big plays when given the chance. His speed and agility make him a constant threat in open space, and he's been used in jet sweeps and trick plays that keep defenses honest. Now, when we talk about Valdes-Scantling, it's important to understand the kind of role he's been expected to fill in Dallas. Unlike some slot receivers or quick route runners, MVS is more of a deep ball specialist. His size, speed, and leaping ability make him perfect for those jump ball situations down the sideline. In Green Bay, he was often used as the big-bodied receiver, a guy who could win contested catches and turn 50-50 balls into big gains. Kansas City utilized him similarly, especially in their vertical passing game. His arrival in Dallas was seen as a move to add more explosive plays and stretch defenses vertically, which has been a key part of their offensive identity this season. Looking at his stats, Valdes-Scantling has had a somewhat up-and-down career, but when healthy, he's shown he can be a game-changer. In his best seasons, he's posted over 600 receiving yards with a handful of touchdowns, and he's a player defenses have to account for. His size and speed make him a matchup nightmare, and if he's able to return quickly, the Cowboys will certainly want to get him back on the field as soon as possible. But as we all know, NFL teams are built on depth, and injuries, even minor ones, can shake things up. This brings us to the bigger picture. The Cowboys are in a competitive NFC, with teams like San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Detroit all vying for playoff positioning. Every game counts, and the coaching staff will need to adapt if Valdes-Scantling's injury turns out to be more serious than anticipated. The good news is that Dallas has a solid offensive line, a versatile running game led by Tony Pollard, and a rising star in Dak Prescott, who's been playing some of his best football this season. But they also know that wide receiver depth is crucial, especially in the postseason, where every play can be the difference between a deep run or an early exit. And let's not forget, this isn't just about this season. The Cowboys have been trying to build a long-term contender, and adding depth at receiver was part of that strategy. Valdes-Scantling's experience, size, and ability to stretch the field were seen as key pieces for their playoff push. If he's out for an extended period, it could force the coaching staff to get creative, perhaps giving more opportunities to young players like Flournoy, or even looking to make a trade or sign a veteran to fill the gap. Of course, the NFL is always unpredictable. Sometimes injuries open doors for other players to step up, and that's where the story becomes really exciting. We've seen in past seasons how a mid-season injury to a key player can spark a whole new chapter for a team. The Cowboys are no strangers to overcoming adversity. Remember their Super Bowl runs in the 1990s, or even recent playoff pushes where they faced injuries and doubts but managed to rally. This current situation could be just another chapter in their ongoing quest for excellence. Looking ahead, fans will be eager to see how the team responds in their next few games. Will they lean more on their running game? Will rookie receivers get more targets? Or will they rely heavily on their tight ends and the quick passing game to compensate? Whatever happens, the coaching staff will need to be strategic, and Dak Prescott will have to continue delivering accurate throws under pressure. And now, Dallas Cowboys fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all this? Do you think Valdez-Scantling's injury is just a minor setback, or are we looking at a potential longer-term issue? How do you feel about the depth at wide receiver right now? Do you trust Ryan Flournoy to step up, or do you think the team might need to make a move? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Cowboys. Remember, football is a team sport, and every player's contribution counts, especially when it comes to overcoming obstacles like injuries. As we wrap things up, it's clear that the Cowboys are facing a critical juncture. The season is heating up, and every game is more important than ever. The injury to Valdez-Scantling, while concerning, isn't necessarily a season ender, but it does serve as a reminder of how fragile success can be in the NFL. The team has the talent and the grit to push through, but they'll need everyone on the roster to step up in these crucial moments. The coaching staff's ability to adapt, the players' resilience, and the fan support will all play pivotal roles in what promises to be an exciting second half of the season. And don't forget, folks, I'll be back soon with more updates, analysis, and inside info on the Dallas Cowboys. So stay tuned, stay passionate, and let's keep the faith. This team has a history of overcoming adversity, and I believe they will continue to do so. Thanks for riding along with me today, and as always, go Cowboys.